Good morning, STU. This is Water Cooler Break. I'm your host, Danny Gonzalez, and I promise you we've got a hell of a show for you today. Today's show is going to be a little different, though. Instead of talking about the STU community or what's going on in the real world, we're going to take a look at Brazil's filmmaking history. Now, I understand this may seem a little strange and a little out of character, but this comes by special request of Dr. Andrea Campbell and the World Cinema class. My correspondents and I are going to take you through the ups and downs, the rough times, and everything else in between that led to Brazil being a dominating force in the world of cinema. To start us off, our senior foreign correspondent, Javier Palacios, takes us back to the very beginning of Brazilian filmmaking. Javi?
Brazil as we know it today is a nation full of vibrant colors, unlimited zeal, and breathtaking landscapes. Brazilians themselves are full of pride, and that is seen in all that they do, from playing football to its national cinema. Brazil's national cinema, like most national cinemas from around the world, had a rough beginning. People were getting used to the new technology of moving pictures and how it could be used to express the world in which we live in. Brazilian cinema originated on Brazilian mainland as early as 1897, following the first cinematic experiments of the Lumiere brothers. It was during this period that Brazilian movies witnessed the first appearance of the cinematographic machine in the city of Rio de Janeiro, which is considered the capital of Brazilian cinema. Within a short span of just 10 years, Brazilian boasted for having as many as 22 cinema halls, showing the first of a lot of Brazilian movies. These cinema halls screened famous movies like the full-featured movie The Stranglers, directed by Antonio Leo. Two silent movies from Brazilian cinema's early days that stand out are Limite by Mario Pezzotti and Ganga Bruta by Humberto Mauro. Limite, as we will see here, is a surrealistic work dealing with the conflicts raised by the human condition and how life conspires to prevent total fulfillment. Enjoy the clip. Ganga Bruta is the story of a man who kills his wife on their wedding night after discovering she had been unfaithful. After being acquitted, he moves to the country where he falls in love with the innocent girl. Enjoy this clip. In 1933, Cine Dia produced The Voice of Carnival. the first film with Carmen Miranda, which marked the chanchada era or slapstick comedies. Actress Carmen Miranda gained visibility overseas and is considered the first Brazilian star. She is mostly remembered because of her elaborate headpieces, as is evident in this video.
O meu ganza faz tica-tica-bum-tica, pra eu cantar o tica-tica-bum-tica, com a canção do tica-tica-bum-tica. Meu coração faz tica-tica-bum-tica, e vem a saudade da Bahia, onde o samba tem canjireira também, numa batucada. Tic-tic-bum, tic-tic-tic-bum, tic-tic-bum, tic-tic-tic-bum. É brasileiro o tica-tica-bum-tic, com o pandeiro fazendo tica-bum-tic. E para terminar o tica.
Towards the end of the 1940s, filmmaking in Brazil gradually transformed itself into a proper industry. Sao Paulo saw the beginning of the Vera Cruz Film Company, with the aim of producing Brazilian movies of international quality and standards. Expert and efficient technicians were hired from abroad to offer the best cinematographic effects. Vera Cruz, headed by the reputed Brazilian filmmaker Alberto Cavante, became well known for producing a handful of Brazil picture. Go back up. I want to read that line again. Yeah, I know. I'll be there, don't worry. Towards the end of the 1940s, filmmaking in Brazil gradually transformed itself into a proper industry. Sao Paulo saw the beginning of the Vera Cruz Film Company, with the aim of producing Brazilian movies of international quality and standards. Expert and efficient technicians were hired from abroad to offer the best cinematographic effects. Vera Cruz, headed by the reputed Brazilian filmmaker Alberto Cavante, became well known for producing a handful of Brazilian pictures, which enhanced the popularity of this industry with passing time. Brazilian cinema's journey towards success had already begun from this time onwards.
Thank you, Javier, for that intriguing and riveting information and the ancient footage that went along with it. But let's go ahead and move forward. The 1950s in Brazil started off with Atlantida Cinematográfica. Now, I'm not sure what it means, but it was characterized by overly commercialized films and also often called Americanized. While attracting large audiences, critics of the time looked down on these films because they're trying to be too American. Many actors became associated with the films of Atlantida, though. There were actors such as Oscarito, a comedian of the time, who was often cast in the leading role. Then there was Grande Otelo, who was always given smaller supporting roles and was often referred to as Oscarito's sidekick. Then there was José Lagoy, who was always cast as the villain. These films were typically directed by José Carlos Brulé and typically followed the traditional structure of films of the time. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of these classic pieces, Carnaval Atlantida, in which you can see all of the aforementioned actors in their roles.
A mulher do meu maior amigo me manda bilhete todo dia. Desde que me viu, ficou apaixonada. Me aconselha seu Júlio Lozada. A mulher do meu maior amigo me manda bilhete todo dia. Desde que me viu, ficou apaixonada. Me aconselha seu Júlio Lozada. Até no meu trabalho já foi me procurar. Preciso de uns conselhos para me orientar. No telefone me procura toda hora. E qualquer dia a patroa vai-se embora.
By the time the 1960s rolls around, cinema throughout the world was undergoing a revolution. France was going through their Nouvelle Vague, also known as French New Wave. Britain was experimenting with the way they told stories with movies like Doctor Strangelove. And finally, Brazil was no exception to this. Brazil was experiencing Cinema Novo, a rebirth or awakening for Brazilian culture. This was the new wave of Brazil. It was taking the country by storm. These new films were an expression of artistic exuberance and felt throughout the country and recognized on a critical level. The filmmakers of this time were influenced by the grand looming landscape of Brazil. The power of the land in turn affected the characters in the films. These films were Brazil's frontier movies and were often referred to as cinema as hunger. Cinema Novo was related to the early upheavals of the time, peasants seizing back the land, wanting to work the outback of Brazil. This affected many of the directors and actors of the time, such as Nelson Pereira de Santos, who directed Barren Lives. Other actors affiliated with Cinema Novo were Attila Iorio, who can be found in many of those films. And finally, there was Galuber Rocha, who directed Black God, White Devil, one of the most influential films at the time. Let's go ahead and take a look at this.